Hello and welcome to my video on surface area. So we're talking about surface area in Math 10C, and these are the formulas that you are given in our course. And so basically you're going to just use the formulas. Now there are a few things to note, and we're going to talk about those in this video. Specifically and most importantly is we could be skipping sides or adding sides or doing composite shapes, and we'll talk about what that kind of looks like in the next couple examples. So here we'll just do the first very basic example. Okay, so my basic example here is just a rectangle, and we need to find the surface area of that. So this is the formula. So we're just going to type it all in one at a time. So 2 times the length, which is, let's say, 13, times the width, which is 7, plus 2 times the length, times the height, which is 4, plus 2 times the width, times the height, which is 4. So our final answer here is 342 meters squared. Now this is the surface area for this shape. Now this is because, and let me just try to explain this. Basically we are taking, if we look at the formula, this part here is the length and the width, so, and doubled. Well, why is it doubled? Well, it's because the length and width make up the bottom, the base of the rectangular prism, as well as the top of the rectangular prism. Okay? But when we look at the next part, it's doubled as well, excuse me, which is the length times the height, and that's doubled. So that is the two sides of the rectangular prism. So there's one side, and then here is the other side. Okay, and lastly, we've got 2 times the width times the height, which is this side, the front side, as well as the back side. So hopefully you can see where all of that sort of comes from. And that's important because what if you're asked to skip the top? Maybe it's a fish tank and you have an open lid. Well, then all you have to do is subtract one of the blue ones. So all you have to do to this formula is to get rid of that one blue part. So just get rid of the 2 because there were 2 sides. Now there's only one side, right? So it depends on what the exact formula is, but that's kind of what you should go by. Now there's a few other things you kind of need to know about. If you remember the area of a rectangle, this is for the next one here we're going to talk about for the pyramid. If we know the area of a rectangle is length times width, well, what if we cut that rectangle in half? Well, now what we have is length and width, but it's half the area. Well, what is this shape? Hopefully you can see it there. That is a triangle. So the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. That's length times width divided by 2. All right, so keep that in mind when we go over to this next question. We want to find the surface area of the pyramid. Well, all that we're given is the surface area of the base plus all of the triangular faces. Now the base is easy here. It's 8 times 8. It's just length times length because that's the base there, plus all the different faces. Now there are 4 faces, but we can't really figure out what this base times height part divided by 2 is. We can find out the base is 8 of any given triangle, but we don't know the actual height. We know the height of the pyramid, not the height of the triangle. So keep in mind this little fact. So what I'm drawing right now in green is the slant height, and that's what you need to use when we're talking about the height of the triangle. So in order to find that slant height, we actually need to break up the triangle 9 and then this part here is going to be 4. And we have to find that missing side here. So I'm going to call it C, because we're going to use Pythagoras' theorem to solve for it. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Now we can square root that part. So, I mean, I'm just going to plug in my calculator at this point. Second function, square root, 9 squared plus 4 squared, bracket, and we get 9.85. Okay, which is the height. Okay, so that's what I'm getting to put in here. So 9.85. Okay, so now we can plug the whole thing back into our calculator. So 8 times 8 plus 4 bracket, and then 8 times 9.848857 divided by 2. And so we get the answer of 221.6. So surface area of this pyramid equals 221.6. This is centimeters squared, by the way. Make sure you have the units. Okay, so that is a rectangular prism. This is a pyramid. Well, we can talk about a few different things. We can talk about a sphere. Now, a sphere, you basically just have to have the formula memorized. There's really not much to say other than that. So we're just going to plug it into the formula. We've got 4 times pi. Please use the pi symbol so that you get an accurate result at the end. R squared. So this is going to be 1809.6. Centimeters squared. Okay, and again, this just comes straight from the formula. So 4 pi, and then r is 12 squared, and so that's where it's coming from. Okay, last one here, we're looking at the cylinder. Now, the cylinder is interesting when we're looking for the surface area, because what's happening is we actually have 2 circles, right? So we're going to find the surface area of the 2 circles. So that's 2, because there's 2 of them, pi r squared. Pi r squared is a circle. Okay, so that's the formula for circles. Plus, we need to find, so that's like this part. Okay, plus we need to find the surface area going around the shape, like this, roughly. And that part is going to be given by, if you unroll it, you'll see this sort of shape. You'll see that, yeah, okay, we have the 2 circles on either end, but if you unroll it, you'll see that we actually have a rectangle. A rectangle with the regular old height, okay, but its length is actually the circumference of the circle. So 2 pi r. It's the circumference. So the formula would be 2 pi r h, because it's length times width. So to find that part, it's 2 pi r h. Okay, so that's where it all comes from. That's important to know because, again, you could be missing a side. For example, a cup would be missing one of the 2 green ones. So you'd get rid of one of the 2 green ones by doing what I just did. Okay, so let's find the answer for that. We're just going to plug her all in. So this is going to be 2 times pi times r squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. So we get 1407.4. Okay, and as you can see, we have other shapes here like cones. You just have to realize again that pi r squared is the circle part of the cone, and this other part is the outside of the cone. But that mostly covers everything. So let's go ahead and take a look at a more difficult example with these composite shapes. So we've got two composite shapes here, and you need to find the surface area of them when they're put together. So for example, not this, okay, but find the surface area of that, and find the surface area of that. Those are two separate questions. But the first picture just kind of shows what the second picture is trying to be. Okay, go ahead and try this out. Okay, hopefully you were able to figure out the surface area for both of these. If not, watch the first one and then pause it and try and find the second one. The trick is to not include the surface area that is, touching. So this red part on top is a hemisphere, which means that it is half of a sphere. So the surface area of a sphere is going to be 4 pi r squared. 4 pi r squared. Okay, and then the other part, which I don't really have a good color for that, is the cone, but only the lateral part of the cone, which means the part that's like going around the outside, but not like the flat part of the cone, not the circle part. So surface area of a cone is pi r s, I believe. Let's just double check that. Yes, pi r s, so we're not including the circle part. And why are we not including the circle part? Well, because it's covered up. The circle part's right here, in between both parts. So it's covered up, so we're not including it. So our final answer, our final solution, I should say, is that the surface area is 4 pi r squared plus pi r s. Okay, now we can go ahead and plug it all in and see if we get the right answer. So 4 times pi times r, which is, now 8 is the diameter, so we have to use 4 squared plus pi times r, which is 4, times the slant height, which is not the 15, so we're actually going to have to do a little bit of work here because it's not 15. So this is maybe not so easy to notice, but there's a triangle here that's being created. So that triangle, let's take a look at that part. It's got a 15 over here, it's got a right angle there, and it's got a 4 here. So the S is the slant height, not the actual height. So we need to find this S. So S, actually I'm just going to use C for that. So C equals the square root of 15 squared plus 4 squared. So let's actually find that first. Well, we could plug it in directly here. Yeah, you know what? Let's just plug it in directly. So that's going to be my S value. So second function, square root, 15 squared plus 4 squared, and we get 396. centimeters squared as our answer. Okay, so this is great. Let's take a look at the next one. If you maybe feel like you understand it better, try out the next question right now. Okay, so we are going to talk about, again, two different shapes that are put together. Pyramid, so that's this part on top. I'm doing that just so you can see what I'm talking about. So the surface area of the pyramid is going to be the area of the base plus all the triangular parts. So in this case, there's 4 triangles, and we're not including the base because it's covered up. So 4 times the base times the height divided by 2. Okay, so we'll get to that. Now the second part is this part here, which is a rectangular prism. So prism. Okay, so the surface area for that is normally 2 times whatever, 2 times whatever, 2 times whatever, but we're not including the top of it because it's covered up by the pyramid. So it's going to be length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. So not doubling everything, just doubling most of everything. Okay, and then we're simply adding those values together. So 4 times, and then the base is 48, the height is 25 over 2, and then plus, and then length times width, well, this is going to be 48 times 48, plus 2 times the length, which is 48, times the height, which is 18, plus 2 times the width, which is 48, plus, times the height, which is 18. So, plugging that all into our calculator, 4 bracket 48 times 25 divided by 2 bracket plus 48 times 48 plus 2 times 48 times 18 plus 2 times 48 times 18 equals 8,160. All right, so that is how you find the surface area of a bunch of different shapes. Keep in mind that this is not every possible combination. You have to be able to adjust and make it work depending on the question. Good luck.